What's going on, guys? It's your boy, Camomeleon. First of all, I'd like to thank y'all and welcome y'all to this new series, the first installment of the How Camo series, which basically is a how-to series on how I build cool things that I think are cool. This particular series here is a series related to geocaching. I'll give you a little bit about geocaching. In a nutshell, geocaching is a game where you take coordinates of an item and you travel to those coordinates. You find the item, you sign the log, switch items, trade things out in there if you need to, if you want to, and go to the next spot. Essentially, that's it. It's a hide and seek game. There's two ways you can play the game. You can play the game like I just described, essentially where you go out and you look for the coordinates, you find the item, you sign the log, if you're going to trade items, if it's large enough to trade, and you keep doing that. Or, once you get hooked, kind of like I did, you get involved in actually hiding geocaches. Now, when you start hiding geocaches, you can do that a number of ways too. So if you go to geocaching.com, they have a shop there basically where you can go in and buy geocache containers that are geocache approved. And you can put your logs, your cache items in there, and then you can go out and hide it, and you'll be part of persons that are placing geocaches. Also, you can go out to the dollar store or Walmart, some of the most less expensive places, and you can get little cheap, inexpensive containers and plastic containers or whatever your items are, tin cans, 10 little Altoid can type tins, stuff like that. And you could use those as geocaches, and you can go ahead and hide those. Or you can do what I'm about to show you that I am doing, and you can make your own geocache. What I'm about to show you today is something that's not new. It's just something that I haven't been able to find a lot of YouTube videos on strictly pertaining to geocaching. I'm going to show you how to make a waterproof geocache container out of shotgun shells, spelled shotgun shells. Okay? Now, there's already one way out there that you'll see a lot of on YouTube, and basically I believe you take a 12 gauge shotgun shell already spent and a 20 gauge shotgun shell that's already spent, and you melt them together, and basically once you do that you have somewhat of a waterproof container. You can do the exact same thing with two of the same types of shells. So these are both 12 gauge shotgun shells here. Okay? And so basically what I can do is I can put this one inside the other. What's going to happen is it's going to create a crease here, okay, as it goes in, because obviously they're the same size. And you'll have a tight fit, but you'll have that little space in there that water might be able to get into eventually, okay? Or you can do it the way that I'm about to show you. So what I have here in front of me are 12 gauge shotgun shells. I have a slew of these things. There is an area here in Arizona that I love to go hiking in and also love to go geocaching in. And a lot of the areas in the desert out here in Arizona are folks come out in the middle of the desert and they do shooting practice. Well, excuse me. Well, in this particular area, they do shooting practice with apparently a lot of shotguns. And you see 45s, 9mm, all kinds of shells out there. But a lot of what I've been seeing is the shotgun shells in the area that I pick these up. I pick these things up by the bags. I mean, the last time I went out, which is about 3 months ago, I think I probably picked up about, oh God, maybe 300 of these things just laying on the ground. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to turn two separate shotgun shells into this, which is the raw form of it, which is a waterproof, tight seal geocache container. So what I have here, from what I've picked up, is two different shotgun shell types. Now, normally you more than likely wouldn't have that problem. You'd be picking up all the same shotgun shell types and you wouldn't have this issue. But because I've done that, I have picked up something I need to pay attention to. Okay, you have here, I have a Federal shotgun shell here, 12 gauge, and a Super X shotgun shell. Now let me show you the difference between the two of these guys and why this is important for what I'm doing today. And this is probably something that you want to pay attention to also when you start doing your geocache containers out of these shotgun shells too. This is a Federal shotgun shell. Basically, it's this shell. All I did was cut it in half. And I did that because I wanted to show you the inside. So if you look at the inside of this guy, you see that cap down at the bottom around there? That's all plastic. Let's see if I can point that out to you right here. It's, well, I can't, my big finger's in the way, but if you look down in there, you'll see, if I get light in there, you see the plastic rim down there? That's what you want to see at the bottom of your shotgun shells, because one of these ends we're going to use as a cap, and we have to remove this plastic end from the cap, and that plastic at the bottom end down there helps out substantially when we're trying to remove that, and I'll show you later. The other cap here, which is the Federal shell, 12 gauge shell, let me show you what it looks like. If you look in here, let's see if I can get the light right here. You see that? That's not plastic. That's cardboard wood, cardboard paper of some type in the bottom of this shell. You do not want to use this shell as a cap. So when we go to remove this plastic from this cap, that's not a good idea, because essentially what's going to happen is the heat is just going to burn that cardboard at the bottom, and you're just going to have a bad smell. It's just going to make it really difficult to come out. It's very possible to get it out. I haven't tried it because I noticed that it was paper, cardboard at the bottom down there. So I don't pretty much bother with that. So this is the guy that we're just going to leave him the way he is. Essentially, we're going to take him. He's going to be the actual container, and we're going to cut below him to get him the height that we need. Okay? Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our bottom. We have to make a decision how big we want this cache to be. Okay? So what you want to do, let me show you this. If you look at the top of this here, you see how it's got like a rippled effect around the top? Well, obviously that happens when you shoot the shell out and then the shell explodes out. This is what you have left from the round coming, from the gunpowder coming out of this guy. Shotgun stuff. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. So, you could leave that the way it is, but I never like that. So what I try to do, if I'm going to make it a large cache or keep the sides of it, I try to bring the cut down below there, okay? And when I do that, that gives me the opportunity to be able to go ahead and get a clean, fresh, all flat surface and not this bowie kind of bendy shape here. Alright guys, so in order to do this, there's some tools that you're going to need, some basic tools, okay? And one of the tools you're going to need are these. You're obviously going to need 2 shotgun shells, preferably of the same size. You're going to want a pair of, not needle nose, not the long ones, but kind of halfway type nose pliers, kind of give you a nice grip. You're going to need these, what I like to call the sideway cutters. I use these to go around and cut the length of the geocache container that's going to be able to get rid of that edge around there. A pair of scissors. You may or may not need these depending on how well you use your side cutters here. But usually to start out the cut, I like to use the scissors and then use my side cutters to kind of edge everything out. And then these are good for trimming things up there. And you're going to need a heat source. Right here, guys, is your heat source. Gas. You need a fire to be able to melt down the plastic to separate it from the cap so that you can use it as a top for your other item there. A container of water. When you heat up the plastic and the cap and separate it, you're going to need to put those things down into something to cool them off. And I just take a little container of cold water, and when I do the burning, we'll drop it down in the water, and that'll help cool everything off so you can work with getting the remaining plastic off of the cap itself. And I believe, guys, that is all the tools that you need to do this. So let's get started. Okay, so we're going to work with our bottom here, and I'm going to cut two different sizes for you, right? I'm going to cut this one right below the bendy portion here. So the first thing I'm going to do is come in here and cut it right where I want it at. As you can see, I kind of cut it right about there. Alright, so we want to get rid of this portion here, this bendy part. You want to get it towards solid and flat right below there. So I'm just going to take some scissors and cut straight across this this gun shell here. So just cut right across it there, and that goes flying across the room. And you have this. Okay, you notice how it's kind of uneven there. So what I do now is I take my, everything's falling everywhere now. I take my side cutters and I just kind of go over and kind of straighten everything out on there and get it somewhat even, if you will. It's not perfect, but it's all what you want to do. So for me, that's probably pretty good. Okay. So now what we've done is we've created our bottom portion of our geocache. Alright guys, so here's a tip. You can do it the way that I just showed you by using your scissors, cutting in and then cutting it across, or you can just cut it straight across without having to cut it in. Another way that you can do it, and basically this will be bypassing your scissors altogether, is to just use your side cutters. If you look at your side cutters, they have a distance, an even distance between where it cuts and where the back of the side cutters are. You can use that to your advantage to cut a clean and straight, somewhat straight line all the way around this guy. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, so I'm just going to go around this guy, all the way around it. And I'm just using the straight line of the sideway cutters. And you see what happens is it took off a nice piece of that bendy portion. But if you look here, you still have the bendy portion is still there on it. And I mean, you can go ahead and put a cap on there, folks, but I'm gonna tell you, it's flimsy. I'm not even using any real force here to get this off. So what you need is, like I said, you need the full surface. You need to be below the crumpled part. So you're just gonna take your side cutters again, and this is a little difficult to try to show you guys on the camera like this. But basically, you're just gonna go around one more time. Overzealous on that cut right there, but that's okay. And basically what's happened is that another piece has come off, and if you look there, I mean, it's not perfect, but it's pretty damn close. And it's pretty close because I got kind of overzealous on there. Let's just trim that out. And what happens, guys, is when you're done, you have something that looks just like this, and it is pretty much even. So now let's do our cap. So here is the top portion, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate this plastic from the metal cap. The easiest way to do this is, because this is so long, and like I said earlier, is that your plastic rim down here is probably about right here. We're going to cut this in half and get as close as we can to that plastic inside of the cap. Alright guys, tip number 2. So I said a moment ago that you can actually take your second shell that you're going to get your cap off of, which is all you need is this guy here, and you can cut this in half, which will put you a lot closer to the plastic, and you can use your little half needle nose here and grip it closer to there, and it will be just an easier distance to pull it away. You can do that, will be no problems. Or you can also leave the shell as it is, wash it out obviously, make sure there's no dirt in there, and you can use regular needle nose pliers, and essentially you just come all the way down into this guy like this, and as you can see here, it's pretty close to the bottom anyway, and once you put this under your heat source, you would then separate it like this. This way works just as well as you cutting it in half and using your half needle nose here to grip it there. It's just a personal choice, guys. You know, if you don't want to bother with cutting it, regular needle nose under the fire, pull that right apart. If you want to cut it, you want to get closer to it, then you can actually do it with these. These give you a little bit more distance away from the fire. These actually put you a lot closer to the fire, so it's really your choice. Okay, so I've done that here. I've cut it in half, and as you can see, we're pretty close to that plastic rim. See if I can get light on that plastic rim on the inside there. You see that? Alright, so now this is ready to take over to the heat source. So let's do that.